Welcome back to another intriguing, exciting, and eventful podcast of the Me&my Health Up. I'm going to be sharing with you some insights on emotional fitness. Before I do that, I'm the host, Anthony Hartcher, clinical nutritionist, mind coach, and your joyful journey mentor. And I'm going to take you on a journey today where we're going to discover emotional fitness. Yes, you might be aware of physical fitness, which is the gym, physical activity, and you've probably heard of the mind gym. It's obviously doing things for the mind. This is in particular, this session or this podcast is focused on emotional fitness. So emotional fitness is regulating your emotions. It is doing things that will help you regulate your emotions. And the typical things that we generally go to are mindfulness activities, which calm our nervous system. Yes, they're effective at calming our nervous system. With a calm nervous system, we're better able to respond. However, the issue with just doing mindfulness is the way we see the world. It's essentially that's troubling us. We have a very polarized view, which means we see it with more negatives than positives, or we can also see it with more positives than negatives. But both of them, I guess, incomplete awareness of what we're witnessing or seeing. But that forms our reality. And then we think that the world is unfair if we're seeing more negatives than positives, or we think the world is amazing when we see more positives than negatives. And so we flip between the two. We get very much in that yo-yo or that seesaw or that where we're just going between the two poles. We're going from being up because we're seeing more positives than negatives, or we're going down because we're seeing more negatives than positives. What we can do is see the world as it is by looking for what's missing or asking questions to help us find what we're not seeing. If we're feeling emotional, and if it's emotion of sadness or anger or fear or anything like that, it means we're seeing more negatives than positives. If we're very elated and over the moon, honeymoon, we're seeing way more positives than negatives. And these are very extreme polarized views. And what we're not seeing is the other side. So with the honeymoon or the upside, we're not seeing the downside. And that often whacks us in the face in time. Over time, we will often come across the downside. Like, for example, when you fall in love, that initial falling in love is that you're very focused and infatuated with the positive of the person. And over time, you see the other side of them because they're complete. They're a whole person. They're not just all good. Well, that's, what you're perceiving initially. And that's what you're looking for. You want to see more things that support your case to say this is a good partner. But over time, you'll see the other side that you don't like. But what that is reminding you of is something you haven't loved within you. And so these are all blessings in disguise. However, we often run away from it or blame someone else. We blame the external world and we don't look at the inner world. And this is the best way. This is the advanced emotional fitness, is when we can regulate our emotions through looking for what we're not seeing, looking for the complete picture, by asking better questions as opposed to just blaming and pointing the finger. That's like an escape, essentially. And it's essentially, protecting your pride. So we get very prideful. We get very, I'm right, they're wrong. And we think we're better than them. And we're all equal. We are all equal. No one's better than anyone else. It's just what you're perceiving. So what you want to be asking yourself is, like, if you're seeing lots of negatives, then you want to ask yourself, what are the positives? How is it serving me? How is it benefiting me? And what's important to me? And if you keep asking that question, you'll keep finding answers. And you want to keep looking until you feel that it's complete, that you see just as many upsides as there is downsides. Initially, you're seeing a lot more downsides. And we can do this with the elation side of things with emotions, because what we don't want to do is blindly, thinking that, we're putting our money down on something that, we're only going to make a fortune back. And in the end, we end up losing all our money because we weren't looking at the risk, because we were just looking at all the upside. So it can be really beneficial to balance that elation and look, regulate your emotions so that you can see the whole picture and you can make better decisions. So this is a process, and it requires investing time into it, just like you do going to the physical gym. You want to invest time into your mental gym or your emotional gym, where what you're doing is increasing your awareness, essentially. So you're increasing your conscious awareness, you're expanding that. So you're seeing the world more as it is, as opposed to your reality, which is polarized. So how we see the world is a reflection of us. And so if you're seeing more negatives than positives, then that's a reflection of how you see yourself. So what we want to do is shift that. We want to start seeing more positives in ourselves, and this will boost self-esteem. And we want to see the blessing in what we're shameful for. We want to see the blessing, whether if we're feeling guilt to someone else, we want to see the blessing in how it served the other person. Because if we don't do that work, then there's missing parts within us that we see reflections in other people or other things. And so we keep running into these disowned parts that we haven't loved, and we get unsettled. It's very unsettling. And so it causes our emotions to go a bit out of control. We get frustrated and we get angry and irritable. And so if we keep working at this and keep owning our disowned parts, then we start to see a more complete awareness. We start to see the world more as it is, as opposed to just as we are in our polarized perceptions. Or, I mean, I think this, from my point of view, I think this is a long life journey, right? It's constant work. It's a bit like the gym in actual fact. Like muscle, if you're not working certain muscle groups, they deteriorate and go away. If you're not constantly working on your mind and the way you see things, then you'll start to, you'll be affected by others in their thinking, or you'll be affected by society in its thinking. And so you'll start to lose the bigger picture and start getting sucked into this tribalism or these polarized groups of extremism. We see a lot of that today. And so the more we can work on this, the more we won't be pulled in to this extremism, this extreme thinking, this polarized thinking, the more we'll be able to see the bigger picture, and the more we'll be able to help others see the bigger picture and see the blessings in disguise and reveal the hidden order, so to speak. So otherwise, if we don't do this emotional regulation, this gym work, we get total disorder in our mind. It becomes very chaotic and we feel scattered. We call it foggy brain. So if you're experiencing symptoms of foggy brain, it could be that you're scattered. You've got too much disorder in your brain and you need to bring order into it. The only way we bring order into it, the way we think, is by sitting down and spending time with how we're seeing things and what's turning our buttons, what's spinning our wheels. So whatever's spinning your wheels or whatever's frustrating you and making you angry, that's the stuff you want to work on. That's the stuff you want to sit with. And the only way you can work on this is if you're in a calm state. So this is where mindfulness is good, or meditation or some form of mindfulness is good, so that you can actually work on this stuff. Because if you're not calm, you can't work on it. You'll only look for evidence that's supporting the way you're seeing things, because you're always right when you're in a worked up state, aren't you? Everyone's right when they're totally worked up. The other person's wrong. So we need to calm our emotions in order to do this work. So if this is something that you want to go down in terms of support with and start to increase your way in which you see the world and start to see the world more as it is and start to see people as they are, as opposed to judging who they are, and start to feel that you have a more, loving version of you. You can actually see the parts of you that you once disowned and now you're loving it. And so you feel more complete. And so you got less disowned parts, and therefore you're not projecting it onto others. What happens is these parts of us that we don't love, we see it in others, right? We have that level of awareness because we hate it in ourselves, and it makes us feel uneasy. And so we project it onto others and we think they're the problem. But in actual fact, it's stuff in us that we haven't loved. So if you want a more loving self, a more complete self, and you want to have better emotional regulations and see the world as it is and be able to love people for who they are and love everything for what it is and have more gratitude, then please reach out. I'd love to help you. This is the work I do with my clients, is I help them have more complete awareness, help them love disowned parts, and help them have better relationships with themselves and others. So please click on the link in the show notes. You can book a free discovery session to find out how I can help you through this emotional regulation or improve this emotional fitness. You could say I'm a emotional fitness trainer. I call myself a mind coach, but you could say I'm an emotional fitness trainer. Happy to claim that title. So reach out, love to help you, and continue to health up. If you like this episode, please share it with others that could benefit, and please give me feedback. Please let me know what you like and what you want to hear more of. Would love to hear your feedback. Have a great start to 2026. Thank you for listening to the Me and My Health Up podcast.
Podcast disclaimer. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare, or professional advice and are provided for general information purposes only. All care is taken in the preparation of the information in this podcast. Connected Wellness Proprietary Limited, operating under the brand Me and My Health Up, does not make any representations or give any warranties about its accuracy, reliability, completeness, or suitability for any particular purpose. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it are not to be used as a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, psychiatric, or any other mental health care or healthcare in general. Me and My Health Up recommends you seek the advice of a doctor or qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Inform your doctor of any changes that you may to your lifestyle and discuss these with your doctor. Do not disregard medical advice or delay visiting a medical professional because of something you hear in this podcast. This podcast has been carefully prepared on the basis of current information. Changes in circumstances after publication may affect the accuracy of this information. To the maximum extent permitted by the law, Me and My Health Up disclaims any such representations or warranties to the completeness, accuracy, merchantability, or fitness for purpose of this podcast and will not be liable for any expenses, losses, damages incurred, indirect or consequential damages or costs that may be incurred as a result of the information being inaccurate or incomplete in any way and for any reason. No part of this podcast can be reproduced, redistributed, published, copied, or duplicated in a form without prior permission of Me and My Health Up.